Good evening. This is a presentation that is a data overview for our school improvement team. This is going to be about the data over the past year and the past couple of years for us to seek some answers and some questions and some strategies. So the purpose of this data overview is to implement collaborative inquiry. That's what we'll refer back to this as. But it's to examine multiple sources of data, identify student learning problems, and provide school-wide research-based strategies to benefit all students. And I know a lot of you sitting in there asking, why me? Why was I chosen for this? There are so many different reasons. As individuals, you bring years of experience, familiarity with different content and grade levels, leadership qualities, and of course dedication to our students. But most importantly, when you come together as a group, you have a common compelling drive and purpose to improve student achievement, and that is what it's all about. This is the quote that I think kind of sums up why we're here, and it kind of puts us into the right frame of mind. So when asked what they would want for their own children, most educators inevitably say they expect the highest levels of education. Do other people's children deserve any less? So just think about that for a moment and how you would answer and how would you respond to that second question. Collaborative inquiry is not what a lot of you are thinking at this moment. So let's go ahead and get all of this out of the way. But it's not a time to vent, whether it's to vent about teachers or students or curriculum or planning periods, whatever, this is not the time for it. It is not a time to plan lessons or to passively participate. We need to have you actively participating. You're here for a reason, you specifically, and we need you to be a part of it. It is not a time to argue. We are all going to have different opinions, and we're all not going to be able to agree with each other. But what we have to get in the frame of mind is that we are here for what is best for the students. And sometimes we have to put aside some of our opinions in order to reach that goal. It is not a time to assume or jump to conclusions. When we look at the data, that's what we're going to tend to do. But we are going to take this one step at a time so that we can really dig down and figure out what is happening. It is not about top-down initiatives. I know a lot of you are thinking that you don't want to be here, but you also don't want an administrator who sits in his office to come in and say, hey, I read about this, implement it. This is your chance to kind of give our ideas to the people at the top. It is not about catching teachers, consequences, or reprimand. It is not about blaming the students as much as we want to do that. It's not about blaming other teachers, once again, as much as we want to do that. It's not about blame at all, but about seeing what needs to be fixed and figuring out a way to fix it. It's not about additional work. We are going to let this combine right in with our other initiatives such as Eureka and SRI, the new writing curriculum that we're hopefully going to get. So it shouldn't be additional work. And then negativity. Please let's have a positive attitude in here because we want this to have a positive impact on our students. Okay, I want to start by the demographic data. First of all, with teachers, here you will see the basics, okay, just in case you didn't realize how many we had of each area, each title. And here you can see the number of teachers disaggregated by gender. We probably do not need a chart to show us this, but we have very little male teachers at our school. Here is teachers disaggregated by race and ethnicity. Once again, very low diversity. We've had one person in the past 3 years to identify as multiracial. And then here are the years of experience of teachers. Now you will notice most of the graphs cover the past 3 years, and they will be labeled that way. So take a minute, pause your slide and look at this, and then we'll come back and talk about the observations. Okay, the observations of data. What we can gain from these slides is the lack of diversity in gender and race and ethnicity. That's a problem because in a minute you're going to see the demographics of our students, and we have growing populations of different races and ethnicity. And no, we're not going to go out and hire certain people just to fill that race. But what we need to do is to find a way to connect with those students and to help them and make sure that everything is equitable. This is a good thing for our school. The average years of experience for our teachers is 8 to 9 years, and you will notice across all 3 years, the biggest percentage are teachers with 11 to 20 years of experience. This is the demographic data for our school. This is the CCRPI rating that we get every year. You will notice we do have a C. Last year we had a D, so we did make improvements. But I want you to pay attention to this part. Here we are in this color, the district and the state. And so you'll notice from 2015, we've improved slightly to 2017, but we are now higher than the district score, and we are equal to the state score. And you'll notice all of these are very close in rating. So even though we are low, that seems to be a trend across the state. Here you have student mobility rate, and then here you have just different highlights of our school. Student demographic data. Here you have enrollment by race and ethnicity, once again, 2014 to 2015, up until last year. Okay, we'll come back in just a minute to talk about the observations. This is enrollment broken down into the different programs that we have. Pay attention here that it's a little backwards. Here's 2014-15. Here's 2016-17. So when you go through and you look at these groups, you are going to see pretty much a decrease or an almost even number of enrollment. The only area that we see a little bit of improvement in is the ESOL, and if you compare that to the slide before, you will see that we have a growing population of Hispanic students. Student attendance for the past 3 years. Remember, it's important. If the students aren't here, we can't teach them, so this is important to note. And here is the attendance broken down by those groups we saw just a minute ago. So pause your slide and go through these slides, look at them very closely, and then go back to the student demographic original slide. Okay, here's some observations we can make. Our enrollment of white students stays at 80 to 90%. The next largest population is the Hispanics, with a steady increase over the past 3 years. Attendance is showing a slow increase for higher number of absences, and economically disadvantaged students with disabilities are the highest percentage of those students. This is something, after we take care of what's happening in the classroom, that we need to focus on. And of course, an implication for all of this, we've got to make sure that we are providing equitable instruction. Student achievement data. Okay, this is the meat of the presentation. We're going to start with the summative assessment, which of course you all know is the Georgia Milestones. It's usually administered every April. Grades 3 through 5 all take English, language arts, and math. 5th grade takes science and social studies. I decided to start with this slide because we did have a focus on literacy last year. So for grade level reading, 3rd grade, notice this jump from 2015 to 2017, and here we see that we are higher than district and state. For 5th grade, once again, we see an increase over the years. We are above the district and just below the state. Milestones. This is something you want to stop the slide and take several minutes to look at. Notice it's divided by 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade by the years, and it lets you know percentages of students that were that scored in the proficient and distinguished levels, and it also gives you number of students tested. School, district, and state. So pause your slide here. Okay, notice 3rd grade stays just below the district and state scores. 4th and 5th grade above district and state in 2016 and 2017. And if I was doing this as an actual presentation without a time limit, I definitely would go into more detail with my school leadership team here. Same thing with the math scores. So take a moment and pause your slides. Okay, the observations from here. 2 years, 3rd grade is 2 years above district and the state. 4th and 5th grade above district and the state in 2016 and 2017. SRI. This is a local school assessment, Scholastic Reading Inventory. Students take this grades 3 through 5, sometimes in 2nd grade, sometimes in 1st grade, but mandatory for 3 through 5. And it is for reading comprehension and Lexile levels. So pause the slide and look at these. you will notice that third grade is the only level that shows decrease in percentage of students considered on grade level. As a school, there is an increase in percentage of students on grade level. Second grade did not test in 2018 for data purposes. You're going to notice third grade mentioned a lot. That's going to be something that we have to come back to. iReady, this is for math. We only implemented this starting in 2016 and 2017, so that's as far back as this data goes. But here's the spring, fall of 2017, spring of 2018. Pause your slide and look at that. So from here, you'll see huge gains from this year's fall and spring assessments. The scores represent the number of students for each tier, so the goal is to have the majority in this green area in Tier 1. DIBELS, of course, is something that all the grades take, and so these are your students, the percentage of students who met at or above benchmark last year and this past year. So pause your slide and look at it. For 2 consecutive years, kindergarten has shown a significant growth. Okay, there's a significant drop for third grade. So once again, something that we're going to have to look at. Beginning and middle scores seem fairly consistent, but a more obvious change happens with the end score, and it's typically a decrease. So that's going to be an area of discussion. So now that you've looked at all this, and you're going to need to stop this slide and go back and go back and go back. But what does this data show us? So here are just some quick observations to kind of get you thinking, and in your groups in a few minutes you're going to be able to break these down. But we have shown improvements over the past 3 years. That is not in question at all. Gains in reading, gains in ELA students scoring on proficient and distinguished. Math scores stay very similar, increase and decrease, so we still want to keep a focus there. Here are a list of strengths and weaknesses. I want us to add to these. I want us to expand on these. But we do have veteran teachers. Use of multiple instructional initiatives and programs, Eureka, those types of things. Data collected from multiple benchmark assessments. You saw that with the iReady, DIBELS, SRI, milestones. And we are showing improvements in these areas, and a lot of that is from our addition of an instructional coach. Here are our weaknesses. We have very little diversity in the staff. We talked about that. Low CCRPI score. That's going to be a topic once again for another day. We have no consistent or continued improvement in all areas each year or with cohorts from year to year. One of the things that I want us to consider is vertical alignment of instruction. Could that be where we're missing some things? Collaboration between the grade levels. We did implement PLCs last year, but it's with your grade level. So there's still not a lot of discussions going on between, what is a third grader leaving third grade with for fourth grade to be expecting, and so on. The amount of testing, as you saw, we do a lot of testing, and a lot of times those tests fall at the same time. So too many too close together, and some of them take place after the milestones, and we all know that students are finished at that point. And then writing. The initial observation, and you can go back and look at the data, but our reading comprehension and our fluency is improving. We are definitely implementing strategies that are working for that. But when we take the milestones, our ELA score drops because of the writing portion. So that is definitely where we need to have a focus. And there's not a consistent nor successful writing curriculum. So we need to pay attention to that. So once again, areas of improvement with the writing, a curriculum. Consistency, is it being taught enough? Vertical alignment, I think this may really help. Math, we want to fully implement the Eureka program in all grades this year. Continue Lion Learners for remediation. There is data that shows that the students who attend this remediation show significant gains on the milestones and in their Eureka program. And then out of all of this, we're going to need to talk about professional development, whether it's in-house, outsourced, definitely about a writing curriculum. And then we do want to continue our PLCs for the different reasons that we use them for, but also weekly or monthly data analysis and dialogue. So where do we go from here? These are the things that we need to decide. Next steps as a leadership team. So us as a group, what do we need to do next? And then from there, what are the next steps as a school going to be? And then even further than that, what are the next steps as a teacher? That is our responsibility here, to figure out these answers, to dig deep into the data, and then to share this information with the school and improve student achievement. Thank you.